You know how I'm always getting way too excited about gaming news? Well, grab a drink and get comfy because I've been losing my mind over what's coming to Switch in 2025. Trust me, you're gonna want to hear this. So, first up, we've got this awesome Tomb Raider collection coming. You know, the classic ones? 4, 5, and 6 are getting the full remaster treatment. It's not just prettier graphics either. They're actually reworking those old-school tank controls to feel more modern. But get this, they're keeping all the stuff that made these games special. The puzzles, the exploration, the whole treasure hunting vibe, it's all getting polished up while staying true to what made these games legendary in the first place. Like, remember that heart attack moment when you first ran into the T-Rex? Can't wait to see what that looks like with today's graphics.
Oh. Got a feeling this isn't quite what it seems. Give a girl a break.
And speaking of classics, Donkey Kong Country Returns is finally heading to Switch. This game was such a blast, and now they're bringing it back in HD. Those minecart levels used to drive me nuts in the best possible way. The developers have been dropping hints about some new features they're adding to the mix, and while they're keeping most of it under wraps, what they have shown looks incredible. The attention to detail in updating the visuals while keeping that perfect platforming feel intact is seriously impressive. Everything from the character animations to the background details is getting a complete overhaul. Now, Metroid Prime 4. Where do I even start? We've been waiting forever for this one, right? But from what they've shown so far, it looks like it's going to be worth every second of that wait. The developers are really pushing the boundaries of what the Switch can do, especially with those atmospheric environments that they've been teasing. You know how the Metroid Prime games always made you feel like you were actually inside Samus's suit? Well, it looks like they're taking that feeling to a whole new level. The way they're handling the scanning mechanics and environmental storytelling seems so much more immersive than ever before. Oh, and here's one that caught me by surprise. Xenoblade Chronicles X is getting ported over. The original was this massive open-world game that was kind of stuck on the Wii U, which was a shame because it was incredible. You gotta pilot these giant mechs and explore this huge alien world, and now they're saying they're adding even more customization options for the mechs this time around. The developers have been showing off how they're optimizing everything for the Switch, making the vast environments load faster and look better than ever.
Truth is, we were adrift, heading into the unknown. Our native home was gone, swallowed in a shroud of light.
There's this really interesting one called Undying coming too. It's actually kind of heavy. You play as a mom who's been infected in a zombie apocalypse, and you're trying to teach your kid how to survive before, well, you know, not your typical zombie game at all. Every time I watch the trailers, I get chills. The developers are putting so much emphasis on the relationship between mother and son, making every teaching moment feel meaningful. They're showing how your choices in teaching your son different survival skills will affect how he handles situations after you're gone. The emotional depth they're aiming for here is something we rarely see in survival games. It feels like one of those games that's going to hit pretty hard. Hey, quick pause here. If you're enjoying this look at some of Switch's finest games, hit that subscribe button for more content like this. Let me know in the comments which of these games you've played or are excited to try. Now, let's continue with our lineup. For something a bit lighter, there's Fields of Mistria. It's looking like a super chill farming game, but with this really cool exploration angle. The developers keep showing off how the seasons change everything in the game. Not just your crops, but like entire areas become accessible or inaccessible depending on the weather. They're implementing this really neat system where your farming decisions can impact the local ecosystem, affecting everything from wildlife patterns to the types of plants that naturally grow in different areas. And holy cow, the Suikoden remasters! I literally jumped out of my chair when they announced these. If you've never played them, these games were revolutionary back in the day. They had this system where you could recruit 108 different characters to your cause, and each one actually mattered to the story. The way they're updating the visuals while keeping the classic sprite art style is so clever. It looks modern, but still has that nostalgic charm. The combat system is getting some quality of life improvements too, making it more accessible without losing any of its strategic depth. Fantasy Life 1 looks super interesting too. It's got all the usual life sim stuff, but here's the twist. You can actually travel through time and see how your choices affect the town in the future. Like imagine planting a tree and then jumping forward in time to see it become this massive landmark in the town. The developers are showing off all these different ways your actions ripple through time, affecting everything from the town's architecture to the residents' family lines. They're implementing this clever system where different time periods have their own unique crafting materials and recipes, encouraging you to hop between eras to create special items. The time travel isn't just a gimmick. Ravenswatch is shaping up to be this really cool co-op game. They're taking fairy tale characters and putting them in this dark fantasy setting, but it's not just for show. Each character's abilities tie into their original stories in clever ways. The combat looks super tactical, with everyone needing to work together and coordinate their abilities to take down the tougher enemies. The developers keep showing off these intense boss fights where you really need to communicate and strategize with your teammates. They're also promising some interesting twists on the usual roguelike formula with persistent progression that actually feels meaningful to the storyline.
If they get you, your run is over and you'll need to restart, but don't lose hope. Each run is an opportunity to unlock better magical objects and upgrades for your next attempt, as well as learning more about the heroes and world stories.
And last but definitely not least, Civilization 7. I've lost count of how many nights I've stayed up way too late playing Civ games. You know, that whole just one more turn thing that turns into sunrise? Well, they're completely rethinking how some core systems work for this new version. The climate change mechanics look way more dynamic now, actually affecting your civilization's development in meaningful ways. They're also introducing this fascinating new cultural evolution system that makes your civilization feel more organic and less like you're just following a tech tree. Hey, let me know what you think about these games. Maybe you've played some and have a different take, or maybe something here caught your eye. Drop a comment, let's chat about it. See you in the next one.